This conference will now be recorded.
Hi everyone, good morning. Let's continue our session about DBAdapter. Okay, so what we discussed in the previous session, we discussed about how to configure DBAdapter with polling operation. In the polling operation, we have several patterns. We used in the previous session, we used delete polling pattern. I mean, when the DBAdapter read the data from the table, it is also deleting the data from the table to avoid duplicate data processing. Okay, but there is another pattern we can see. There are other variants of patterns. I mean, other patterns available when we are doing polling. We'll discuss one important pattern. Okay, before going to that, let's talk about little bit um, how to modify the DB table. I mean, let's say what happened if the table structure modified. So this is what we discussed in the yesterday session, right? So where is it? Okay. Now, if you see in this table, I want to introduce one new column. Okay. Already we have a service. Already we have a SOA service running on that table. What happened if I want to modify this table? When I said modify this table, either you can delete an existing column or you can add a new column. You change the data type. Let's say this is varchar 20, right? You made it 40. Okay, something like that. If you make some change in the table, you alter the table or something happened in the table, some modifications we applied. Okay, how it will be affected, how it will affect your SOA program. That is one important thing we need to see. So guys, whenever you have a SOA project, SOA service on top of your DB object, when I say DB object, it's not just table, any DB object like function, stored procedure, table, view, any DB object, if you are using in your SOA program, you configured the SOA program, deployed, tested the program, everything is working. Now, for some reason, if we need to make some change the DB object, especially contract of the object, not the logic. Suppose, let's say you have a stored procedure. Stored procedure will have input-output parameters. If you have a function will have input-output parameters. Like that, any parameters like input-output parameter, table structure is the definition of the table, correct? The structure of the table. So if any modifications happened on the DB object, especially contract, either input or output, then that affects your program. Let me do one thing. I will let me go to the SQL worksheet. I will show you that. SQL worksheet. This is my DB connection. Okay. So what is the table? Select star from stu underscore result. This is our table, right? What I will do, let's see what is the data here. Okay, so let me delete everything. Delete from stu result. 25 rows deleted. Just commit it. I need to commit. This is a commit icon. Commit it. Commit. Either you can run this icon or you can run the command. Anything is fine. Okay. Starting at line number 4, auto commit set on. Oh, okay. Auto commit is set on in my JDeveloper, so that's what it is saying. No need to commit. But try to do the commit. If auto commit already there in your JDeveloper, that is fine. Otherwise, you need to run the commit. Okay. Anyway, now if you see there is no data, what I will do, I will drop the table and recreate the table. Okay. Drop table stu result. I just want to make some change in my table. Okay. Okay, table dropped. So now what happened? Suppose guys, if you test this program, the target service is a DBAdapter. The reference component is a DBAdapter. Okay, and this DBAdapter is communicating with the table, and the table dropped, then you will get an error. Okay, if you try to test it, you will get an error. Okay, anyway, my intention is not about error. I just want to introduce one new field here. I will say, what is that? I will say status. Okay, I want to introduce a field called status. Let me use this table. This is a varchar. Varchar 2. I want to use the size as 10 characters. Varchar is nothing but string, right? Copy. Let me create the table. I created the table. Okay, but there is no data, guys. There is no data in this table. So now what happened? The table contract updated, right? We introduced a new field here. So table contract updated, but if you observe DBAdapter and related XSD, student grade insert. Okay, let me open this. If you observe the contract will not modify it. It is not showing the status field if you observe, because we made the changes in the table, but not in the SOA program. But if you test this program, even though table is available, your program will be errored out saying that the contract is mismatching between SOA service and the database. Okay, as per the SOA service, the table structure, it should contain 4 fields. But as per database, the table structure, it contains 5 fields. 5 fields. Status is a new field. If you test this program directly after you modified the table and you test this program, you will get an error. You cannot you cannot run the program. Your program will fail. Okay. So now what we need to do, we need to update the information in the adapter. Go to DBAdapter, and then use the DB connection. Where is the DB connection? Browse it. Browse the connection. Okay, browse the DB connection. Make sure your JNDA should not modify. Click next, and you can go to the operation and see this is the world table. But I want to import the table again to get the latest structure. Okay, this is the student result table. See, this is asking table already exists. If you re-import, it will be updated. Okay, right? I just want to update. Okay, so I'm fine with that. Now you can see there is a status field. Status field is in the it came right. So anyway, it's a regular process how we configure the adapter. We need to select some primary key. It's just an assumption within the adapter. It will not go to database. That selection of primary key. Okay, and then you can see all the fields, including status field. Okay, this is the new one we introduced. Click finish. So this is how you need to update your DBAdapter after you configure the SOA program. If any changes happened in the database side, especially the contract, either table structure, stored procedure and function, input and output parameters. Okay, if the contract of the DB object modified, then we need to update our DBAdapter as well. Okay, if you don't update the DBAdapter, you don't get the structure. Now you can see is the XSD. Go to your XSD. insert, grade insert, right? If you check this XSD structure, it is updated. It is updated with the new field. Now I just want to do some mapping here. I want to modify my mapping. A new field came, right? I want to give some new mapping. So these kind of cases will come, sir, because at the time of development, there are chances maybe DB team is doing something. They provided you some contract. They ask you to use the table, to use the procedure. Reason they may miss some requirements, right? But again, a function. But for some reason, they will start doing enhancement when they introduce a change in the contract that over program latest contract. Let me go to transformations. It's not loading. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to do the mapping in the transformation file. We can able to see the status field now. Now we can able to see the status field. For that status field, I want to do a new mapping. What I will do, I will say I want to hard code it. I want to hard code it as new, okay, new record. When I'm inserting the data into this table, every new insertion I want to treat it as a new record. Okay, done. I just want to hard coded it. I hard coded it. Done. Okay, let's deploy and test the program. We'll see what it is going to do. Same approach, we can test this program. Yesterday we tested it, right? What I want to do, I want to place a file in the inbound folder, practice adapters project. Practice adapters project, pick the file and process the data. Insert data into student info table. From student info table, second project, I mean calculate student grade project, read the data from second table, sorry, read the data from student info table, second table, that is student. Is the deployment completed? It is in progress. In time, let me go to the instances tab just to make sure. I want to open the instances tab for our observation. Okay. What happened to deployment completed or not? Okay. Okay, deployment finished. So that means our program is ready to test. What I will do, I will place a file in the inbound folder. Let me place a file in the inbound folder. Okay. If I place the file in inbound folder, what happened? First SOA project, practice adapter SOA project, read the file and insert the data into outbound folder and also a table, student info table. Okay. From there, second program will start picking it. Okay. Let me place it. We'll see how many instances got created, something like that. Okay. Student result. Select star from student info. I don't know whether we can see the data here or not because both are running. Okay, I think it's picked up by the second table. Let's see the second table. Okay, you can see the second table. Second table data picked up and the status we set it as new status. Okay, of course you can see the instances as well. We are expecting multiple instances here. One instance is for practice adapters example, multiple instances for the grade example program because we divided the table into multiple transactions into multiple XML documents. We can see all these instances here. You can see this is the practice adapters example, and then uh, this is the calculate student grade. Open it. Two transactions created. Each instance is one transaction, right? So two transactions created. In the first transaction, how many XML documents? One, two, three. Three XML documents. Each XML document contains some number of records. Let's see how many records received. 101, 2, 105. Five records in one XML document. Five records in one XML document. This way, two transactions created. Okay, each XML document size is 5 records. Anyway, so this is how you can test it. Suppose guys, if you don't update your adapter and if you run the program, this invoke activity will fail. This invoke activity will fail, saying that contract has a difference between SOA program and the database. Okay, right. That's about how to update the DB adapter. And then let's talk about another pattern in the DB polling. We saw one model of DB polling, right? I will say, let me start another program. I want to show you the same DB polling concept, but this time I want to change the pattern. The pattern is logical polling pattern. Okay, let me create a new project. I will say practice logical polling. Practice logical polling is my service name. Okay, so here I want to show you how to configure the DB adapter. Almost everything is same except one screen. Okay, one screen. It's very simple. Let me do that. Database. So guys, here I want to use student grade polling. I'm just giving some naming convention, guys. Really don't worry about the name. Okay, and this one, what is the name? You should provide the proper name without spelling mistakes, and it is case sensitive. So make sure you are not giving wrong information here. This is a runtime connection, and the first one is a design time connection. JNDA is a runtime connection. Click next. And this time I want to go with polling operation, same like the previous example. Okay, import the table. Which table you want to import? Guys, this time I want to import student grade table. Student result table. Okay, in this, go to next screen. So there is no primary key in the table like all other adapters, previous examples, right? We need to select one field as primary key. I selected student ID as my primary key, and then go next. No relationships. Click next. So do you want to read all the fields? Then select all the fields. If you don't want to read something, you can deselect it. Okay, if you deselect a field, what happened? That will not display in your XSD. That contract will not be created. That element, there is no contract for that element. Okay, if you select it, that will be included in your XSD. Say next. So in the last example, we selected the first option, right? First pattern. So instead of that, second one I want to take in this example. So this is called logical delete or logical polling operation. So what will happen? See, read the complete statement. Update a field in the table. See, last time what we did when we are doing the polling operation on the table, to avoid duplicate processing of the data, we deleted the data from the table. So, but it is not allowed every time to delete the data. We are not allowed to delete the data from the database. There may be important information which we need. I mean, it's not really a good practice, right? So it's a real-time data. There may be a lot of financial information, customer information, lot of information is available. If you start deleting, we lose the data. Okay, instead of deleting the data, we can go with this approach saying logical delete. That means data will not be deleted, but we should tell the adapter what are the records are already processed, what are the records are not processed, that we need to tell the adapter. Okay, so how we can tell that? By using this logical delete operation. So if you use this operation, data will not be deleted from the table, and we can utilize the status field or some field. In our example, status field, I'm using status field. Currently status field contains new status, correct? New status. Suppose if you use this option, then what happened? We will utilize the status field and change the status. Okay, if the status is new, then only process the data. If the status is not new, don't process the data. Something like that we want to configure. Okay, so let's go to the next screen. See here, this is the configuration. This is the configuration we want to use. Logical delete field. You can select any field in your table as logical delete field. In our example, status is the field which holds the status of the record. So guys, these are past tense. Read value, right? So read value is the record read by the adapter. If the record read by the adapter, what I want to do, processed or closed. Let me say closed. I want to set a status. I want to set a status as closed if the record read by adapter. Okay, I want to update the status as closed. Okay, unread value is new. Whenever the status is new, adapter should treat the record as a new record. Okay, in our table we saw that, right? We inserted the data with the new status. That means that is not yet processed. In this table, student result table, if the status is new, I want to consider that record is not yet processed. It's a new record. Okay, reserved value is something, I will say, in progress. Okay, just observe. I will try to explain this more detail. We are going to maintain 3 different statuses in the status field. Okay, it's not mandatory to use the same status values. I mean, closed, new, in progress. It's not mandatory to maintain the same keywords. You can give XYZ, something like that. Give always a meaningful keyword, either true, false, in progress, something like that. Okay, so this is not a fixed keyword. This is just our convenience. So what we want to do, I'm telling the adapter with these properties, I'm telling the adapter, if you see a record with the new status in the table, if you see a record with the new status in the table, treat it as unread value, that is not processed. It is good to process. Okay, if you see the record with in progress, that means already it is in progress. It is not a new record, it's not closed record, it is in progress. I mean, your DB adapter already picked it. Maybe the processing is taking some time. Got it, sir? Got it? So then once the processing completed, update the record status as closed. If you update the record status as closed, in the next polling, adapter will understand this record is already processed. It's not a new record. Is it clear? Any questions from anyone? Speak out, guys.
No, sir.
Okay. So we are telling the adapter, consider all the statuses. Consider all the statuses. Okay. So this is how it is behaving, how it is going to behave. New, in progress, and then closed. Closed or close. What is the keyword? Closed. Okay, so then we are asking adapter, if you see new status, it is good to process. It is good to process. Okay, if you see in progress, it is already in progress. I mean, sometimes we may have a complex business logic which may take some time. Parallelly, adapter should not process this second time. Okay, it is already in progress. And then close, that means it's already processed. It's already processed. So don't read the record. Don't read it. If we read it again, it will become a duplicate record. It become duplicate record. So I don't want to process it. So clear, guys? Done. Let's see how the program will behave. Click next. Okay, and this is the same pattern what we discussed. Every 10 seconds I want to do the polling. Document size I will say 5 records or 3 records, whatever is convenient for you. And transactions per row 10 records, and order by is your choice, guys. Order by is your choice. Okay, so here you can see the queries, DB query. Total 3 queries created. Last time when we are using physical delete operation, only 2 queries created, right? But here 3 queries. See, pre-polling, when the status is new, change the status as in progress and process the record. Start processing the record. I mean, we need to pick it. Adapter will pick the record. Okay, so for that reason, what it is doing, first, if the status is new, change it to in progress. Make it ready, make the data ready to process. Okay, pre-polling SQL, pre-polling. That means polling not done. Record not read by the adapter. Before reading the data, this is the action. Before reading the data. While reading, polling SQL, I mean, that means reading the data. How it will read? It is reading the data where the status is in progress. If the status is in progress, then only read the data. If the status is in progress, read the data. Polling SQL. And once the read completed, once the record read by the adapter, after read SQL, after read SQL, what we are doing, if the status is in progress, update the status as closed. Update the status as closed. That means record read completed, reading process completed. Is it clear, sir? So there are 3 operations performed on your table. Earlier, when we are using physical delete, in that session, I show you only 2 queries. One is reading, another is deleting. That's it. But here it's not 2, it's 3-step process. New status changed as in progress, and then read the data. It's a select statement. Read the data where the status is in progress, and then after read, you need to update. There is no delete operation here. You need to update in progress as closed. In progress as closed. Okay. This is the action will be performed by your DBAdapter. Click next. Next, finish. Done. So we are ready with a new DBAdapter. Let me use a beeper process to read the data with no service. Done. Create a wiring or binding, you can say. Go to beeper process, configure a receive activity. Configure a receive activity which can receive the data from this DB table, DBAdapter. Okay. I just want to create one variable. I want to show you, I'm not creating a big business logic here. I just want to show you how this logical delete polling is working. Okay, create instance, apply. Okay, that's it. So my program is ready. So guys, if I deploy this program, then what happened? From the student result table, this program, the new program, practice logical polling program, will start reading the data. Once it starts reading the data, it will change the status from new to in progress to closed. So in progress is a intermediate status between new and closed. I don't know whether we can see that or not, because it will, I mean, your adapter and SOA program process this data. This is very small data. It will process the data in fraction of second. Okay, let's try to see that if possible, whether we can see the intermediate status or not. But finally, the status updated as closed. Let's see. Once you deploy the program, it will start, because it is a self-start program, right? It will start by its own. After once the deployment completed, immediately it will start picking the records. So deployment completed. Oh, see, in fraction of second, everything processed as closed. Okay, go to SOA instances, recent instance. You can see the latest instance here. So according to the transaction, each transaction is one instance, right? Each transaction becomes one instance. See how many transactions created? 3 transactions created. Open the first transaction. If you see the first transaction, there are 2 XML documents processed. 2 XML documents. Open it. See the data. See total 5 records received. 5 records received, and see the status. What is the status it is receiving? In
In
progress,
progress.
because your DBAdapter read the data only if the status is in progress. Okay, when the status is new, it is good to read, but it won't read. Adapter will not read the status when the status is new. It will change the status as in progress. It will update the status as in progress. Then only it will read. Okay, if you see this, these are the steps, right? I told you the status is new. If the status is new, immediately update the data. Step number 1, immediately update the status as in progress. Then read it. Select statement is nothing but read statement, correct? Then read it. So how it is reading? The status is in progress, then only it is reading. That's what the reason in your instance. In your instance, you can see the status as in progress instead of new. Is it clear? And then in progress updated as closed. In progress status updated as closed, and that closed status we can see in the table. See all the records updated as closed. Is it clear? Closed means next time when the DBAdapter come for polling, it will not consider the records whose status is closed. It will consider the records whose status is new. That's it. It won't consider the other records. Okay. Any questions in logical delete polling? In this operation, the advantage here is we are not losing the data. See, in the physical delete operation, we lose the data, right? There is complete data deleted from the table. So but if you go for logical delete, the advantage here is we are not going to lose the data. We are not going to delete the data or lose the data. Our data will be safe, and we are not also processing duplicate data. Our adapter will not process duplicate data because it is checking the status. If the status updated, don't process the data. Okay. Any questions in logical polling operation, logical delete polling operation? No?
No, sir.
Okay. Okay, fine. So let me show you one more, one small activity. See guys, in the practice adapters, example, let me open the Beeple process. In this practice adapters example, there are 3 things we are doing. First, read the file. Once we read the file, we are inserting the data into a outbound folder, and also table. Correct? We have one inbound action, 2 outbound actions. One inbound action and 2 outbound actions. So here, let's assume these outbound actions, they are in sequential model. And they have no dependency on each other. Agree? This scope has no dependency on the DB scope. File scope has no dependency on the DB scope. Correct? DB scope also no dependency on the file scope. Okay. So that means anything can be first, anything can be second. You can change the order if you want, because they are independent. They have no relation with each other. They have no dependency with each other. Okay, so let's assume the first this scope, to execute this scope, it will take 10 seconds, and executing this scope will take 10 seconds. So the total, it need 20 seconds to execute. I'm just giving an example. It's not really taking 10 seconds. It will be completed in fraction of second. Okay, but when let's consider it is a complex logic. The scope contains complex logic which need 10 seconds. Okay, so then what happened? The total time to execute these 2 scope activities become 20 seconds. 10 seconds plus 10 seconds, 20 seconds. Okay, to improve the performance of this program, is there anything we can do? Okay, because these 2 logics are independent with each other. They have no dependency on each other. So I don't want to wait second scope activity to execute until the first one completed. Okay, I don't want to keep them waiting. Okay, I want to execute them parallelly. I want to execute them parallelly. There is something called flow activity. There is something called flow activity. Let me drag drop. If you see the scope activity, you can add any number of parallel branches. You can add any number of parallel branches. Okay. All these branches will be executed parallelly, but only the thing you need to make sure, whatever parallel execution you are doing, you need to make sure they don't have any dependency. Suppose if you see order processing system, here also we have two scopes. Here also we have two scopes. We are internally calling card validation system and billing system, right? Okay, this is card validation system call, and this is billing system call. These two also in sequential model, but they have dependency. Billing system has dependency on card validation system. Then only, I mean, card validation system completed, execution completed, then only I want to go with billing system. They have dependency on each other. Okay, but if you take the current example, practice adapters example, this DB scope and file scope, they have no dependency on each other. We can execute them parallelly. We can execute them parallelly. Okay, if you use flow activity, you can execute parallel business logic that improves the performance. Instead of 10 seconds plus 10 seconds sequential execution, it will execute parallelly. You can save the time. You can save the you can increase the performance of your program. You can save the execution time. Is it clear? Any questions from anyone? Any question from anyone? So you understand what is the flow activity and how it will work? Any question? So this executes the logic parallelly. You can have any number of parallel branches. You can have one more parallel branch and execute the logic, not an issue. Okay, done. As of now, I just need two parallel activities. I can deploy the program and I can test the program. Okay, now let's prepare a file. We need an inbound file to test this practice adapters example. See guys, if I test practice adapters example, total 3 programs will be executed. Practice adapters example, calculate student grade, practice logical polling. 3 services will be executed. Okay, deployment finished. Let me test this program by placing a file into the inbound folder. Let's see total how many instances created. Total 3 programs will be executed. Okay, now if you see practice adapters, first this got executed 14007. This is continuation, calculate student grade, and then practice logical polling. Okay, so if you open the practice adapters instance, see the flow. If you see the flow, once it receives the input, flow activity executed, flow activity, which is executing parallelly these two things got executed. Okay, so this way we can improve the performance of your program. Suppose you have 2 different logics you want to do and they have no dependency, then only go with this flow activity. If you have a dependency on each other, if you have multiple scopes and they have dependency on each other, then we should not go with parallel execution. We should go with sequential execution. One by one we need to do. Any questions as of now? Any questions?
Clear, sir.
No? Clear? Okay, I will stop here. Let me stop the recording.